Whenever you are. Yeah, whenever you're ready.
Okay, how did you get into DJing and producing?
That's a couple of years ago for me. I think I started DJing about 3 years ago now. But I started making music first. I started producing my own tracks first, and when I got my first tracks out, or not actually even out, I just got my first tracks played in Belgian radio. I started getting into DJing, and I started playing a couple of local venues around my city in Antwerp, in Belgium, Antwerp. And I don't know, I enjoyed making music much more than I enjoyed DJing back then, because I was much more experienced in making music than I was in DJing. But yeah, over the years I really started like getting a good feeling on stage, and really enjoying being on a stage, and just I don't know, getting my tracks out to people and to a big crowd, and that just came over the years. So that wasn't my first love, really. So
your confidence grew from obviously producing in the bedroom to then going out and playing and feeling the track, and
yeah,
obviously the crowd's like reception to the tracks you're playing.
Yeah.
And that inspired you to be sort of better and go out there and do more DJing, as it were. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's a confidence thing. It was more like I just wanted to put more time into making tracks than into just playing out tracks, other tracks by other people. And before I had like a whole like album together, I didn't have a full set of my own tracks, and I really wanted to make my own music and play it out like myself.
So it was more important for you to put your own tracks out there than to just stand there and play other people's. It was more important to put like an essence of you into whatever you were playing out.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I just want to bring my own style to people, and especially like just play out new music they haven't heard before. That's what DJing is all about for me. I just want to play music I just made a week ago instead of music I did 2 years ago. I want to make a big mix out of that, and I just want people to come to a club and.
What's the main software you use to produce your music?
I've been on Ableton Live for a while, and I'm still making my ideas on there, and just mixing it down in Logic Pro now. But I just really like Ableton Live because you can really transform what you want to make, like in your mind, into the program really quickly. As with Logic, you just gotta cut and paste everything, and it takes a lot of time before you actually can make an arrangement or something.
So you think Logic's sort of arrangement window is not as sort of tactile and maneuverable as Ableton?
No, I think Logic is really good for mixdown, so the final process of a track. But when you want to start making ideas, for me it's better to do it in Ableton.
And the mastering process obviously is easier in Logic.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Which artists inspire you most at the moment?
Well, I wouldn't even say like artists. I just get inspired by like a lot of different music, and outside of drum and bass a lot. I think the last couple of years I've really got inspired a lot by indie rock and the more like rocky stuff. And I think like my album that's coming up in May really reflects that a little bit, because I really got into the more rocky feeling instead of the all electrical background of drum and bass and electronic background of drum and bass. I really want to put this more, I don't know, proper rocky live band vibe into the music, and I really got into that the last couple of years.
That's quite an interesting prospect. So you're looking to bring sort of almost real instruments back into drum and bass, so real drums, real guitar driven sort of like leads as opposed to synths.
Yeah.
How do you think the sort of mainstream will receive that?
We'll see what happens, but I've been working on my live set too, a live band set with like a drummer and a key player now. And that's like the logic step for me, especially after I made this album. I just want to do something different on stage. I want to show people drum and bass could be like really musical too, instead of just being a bass-driven club genre. And I really enjoy putting other kinds of influences into a drum and bass track and just playing it out and make it still danceable. That's like the perfect combination for me. Make it like bass driven, so it's still danceable in the club, but still make it really musical, so you can actually play it live with instruments.
So again, the live set's obviously something that's been quite big recently, obviously, like sort of Sub Focus. Us like they're bringing live sort of instruments into their mixes.
Yeah.
Do you think that's something that you're going to take forward and sort of progress, maybe having a whole band, stuff like that?
Yeah, well, that's what we're working on. We're not working on like a semi kind of live thing. We really want to play everything live with instruments. And the good thing is my drummer works for Roland, and so does my key player. So they got like
sponsorship. So you're
The great thing for me logistically is that we don't have to bring our own instruments anywhere in the world. there on stage before.
Because Roland's such an international brand, you've got them pretty much everywhere.
And that's the big trouble, like the big problem with live shows. When you start, you don't get paid the fee. You can actually get all your instruments from Belgium to Australia, for example, because that costs a lot.
But then, of course, you can have them in Australia ready to hire.
That's it. Yeah, sure.
And do you see that being a big thing for you? Do you find it more engaging with your audience, maybe having that live setup? Yeah. Compared to DJing, you think it's more like interactive for them?
I would definitely say like it's for me it's the most exciting project I've ever worked on, because there's so much more stuff that can go wrong on stage than just having 2 CDJs and a mixer. And for me that's a big challenge. And it's just the whole process, getting the band together, getting to know each other, playing together, looking at each other on stage, and just having this different vibe from DJing. Because now I've got this vibe with my MC tonight, which is wicked. We look at each other, we've got some kind of, I don't know, movement going on between us. But with a live band, it's the same thing, but just with music instruments and with like musicians. And
so it's almost the thrill of sort of having that, you know, live band experience, that anything could happen. There's more things to sort of, you know, look over, and it's almost more complex for the audience, but a generally more rewarding experience for them as well.
Yeah, and sometimes, well, we haven't done like any tryouts yet, but just at the rehearsals, we just forget we're playing any music. We just enjoy it, and we just enjoy playing music, and it's just like, oh shit, the track is finished. You feel like you want to keep doing it. And
so you just sort of jam and just come up with sort of, say when your live show, see things you're like implementing on the fly, just sort of, you know, improvisations that you can do something like that.
Exactly, yeah. It's all about that for me, because I don't want to rehearse everything and got it all like figured out minute per minute or second per second. I just want to be able to, like, I want to play this part a little bit longer, look at the crowd like they're enjoying it, we've got to play this a bit longer and do this crazy vocal edition or something.
Well, that's fantastic for audiences. I mean, stuff like Eddie Halliwell does his edits that way, obviously reconstructs everything live. But stuff like that would be fantastic because they're obviously not going to know what quite to expect. That could be quite exciting for them as well. What's your go-to synth when you're producing sort of drum and bass music at the moment?
Software synth. Well, I think like I really enjoyed like starting with Silent. I used it like for 4 years now, and I think it grew out to be a really popular VST now.
Because it started quite small, didn't it? It's now sort of being more widely accepted. It's sort of coming into the sort of same area as Massive, and I would even say like more producers use Silent for like the leads and stuff than Massive nowadays. But Massive is amazing for bass lines and stuff, especially if you want to make like more like UK based driven genres and stuff like that, especially for dubstep and stuff. But Silent has got a really warm sound to it, and especially if you pump it up with a couple of like effects from that. But I just loved it like since the first day I've used it, and I really got into Razor like a while ago, which is a Reactor plugin, and it's amazing. It's got the same kind of heuristics, well, not the same kind, but just the same kind of deep feeling you got with Silent. And I just love like software plugins that got the same low-end warmth that hardware plugins. You like them having more of an instrument feel than sort of like synth, so you can use them in the same way you'd use an instrument in your productions.
Exactly, that's it.
That's cool. What's the favourite track that you've personally produced so far?
Oh well, like people ask that a lot, and I can't really. It's really hard to, because you listen to your own music a lot just to hit like mix down problems and stuff. I don't know. I would say just feeling-wise, my first track that really got attention to me was Prisma, I think, because that was the first track that really got like played on radio by DJ Hype back then, and that was the first track that I heard on English radio, and that was a really big stuff for me because I come from Belgium and I was used to getting my tracks played on like a night show in Belgium on Friday night with like my friend DJing it. But that was like a big DJ for me, like that was a big hero for me playing my first track out, and that was wicked. So
the crossover from Belgium to England was obviously quite important to you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Do you see it as quite a large gap between, obviously you say your friend played out, I mean, so a lot of people having your track played on radio would be quite a big step, but obviously for you to have it played and then obviously played in England, that's a much larger step for you, is it?
Yeah, I would say so, and I think like especially 4 years ago, because things have changed a little bit now, but 4 years ago, drum and bass was only like, if you get like your stuff played out in England, that's where you want to be. That's the only place where you can grow. And now producers in Belgium and in Austria, in like people around all the world, like they've got radio shows where they really reach people with that. But like UK seems to be like still the backbone of drum and bass and where it all started. So it's definitely a big step to get your stuff played.
So the focus of drum and bass is obviously in England at the moment. Do you see sort of are you delving into any other genres? Do you see, have you not been tempted by, say, dubstep, anything like that?
Yeah, I love how you say it, like, tempted by dubstep.
Well, it's a big thing. I mean, obviously, there's maybe a lot of pressure on artists to sort of conform, but well, how do you see it? How do you feel about sort of experimenting with different genres?
I don't really believe in pressure, making a really big statement, but I don't know, I just don't think as an artist you need to feel any pressure. And I made a dubstep track on my album now, just one, and I just started it as a drum and bass track, and I was like, no shit, this melody is way too fast for drum and bass. So I just slowed it down and it became dubstep. And it's
how do you feel about that? Did you feel?
I'm really happy with the tune because it's really what I really want to make, and it's really melodical. It's really like my drum and bass. It's really musical. It's not. It's not like a Skrillex collaboration. It's not like every bass driven or anything. It's just like a really melodical tune, and I'm happy with it, and I don't really care what people are going to think about it, really. Like, it's quite controversial as a drum and bass artist on Hospital Records to make a dubstep tune, and I kind of like that controversial bit about it, and I don't know, we'll see what happens.
Well, you say it's bold, but obviously there's a lot of crossover at the moment, and obviously with the sort of EDM music coming into the mainstream, anything you do can sort of be, you know, obviously people receive it in different ways, but the majority of the time, if you're experimenting, people can only see that as a good thing, you branching out, reaching other people, because obviously you've got your drum and bass fans. Reaching out to the dubstep fans might bring in, you know, a whole horde of new people who listen to your music and then discover what's your fantastic liquid drum and bass style. Yeah, well that's the perfect view of it. Of course.
Like, if you look at Cameron Crooked's album, they really experimented with like different styles, and I know they had like a bit of a bad some bad feedback on their house tracks and stuff like that, just because people aren't used to it, and that's just the way it goes with the drum and bass crowd, because they're really like, a lot of people in the drum and bass crowd nowadays are just like from the old school days, and they just want to hear like drum and bass producers making drum and bass, and they can't handle, I don't know,
almost the
pressure,
fact that
exactly, the fact that you try and do other stuff, and it's a bit of a shame if you ask me, but that's what it's all about.
Because of course artists shouldn't conform, they should do obviously whatever they want to do. And if it's received well, fair enough. If it's not, then it's your own personal expression.
It's still what they want to do, and it still comes out of like, their experience, so it's fantastic.
What can you tell us about your upcoming album? And obviously you've mentioned one dubstep track. Are there any other sort of divergences into other genres, or have you sort of played it sort of pretty similar? What sort of things have you sort of implemented that will engage other people?
Yeah, well, like when I started the album, I wasn't aware I was going to do a live set. So I started the album, I think 2 years ago now, and I did some tracks. I think I made 5 tracks which are going to be on the album. And after that, I knew I was going to do a live set. So I just kept in mind that I wanted music to be played out, like easily played out live. But it didn't change my perspective on music or anything. But I just wanted, just because I got into like indie rock and stuff, it just came together quite well because of the live set. It just like the pieces fit together really well now, and
so the live music didn't influence like how you would sort of like create the music. You weren't creating to be performed live. You were just creating, and then hopefully you could work it into a live set.
Yeah, it didn't influence it directly, I would say, but I'm sure, like in my mind, somewhere it said like
somewhere you were like, how is this going to translate?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So live, what are you going to be doing? Are you going to be sort of working the synths, or are you a keen drummer, anything like that?
The thing is that I've played the drums since I was 6 or 7, I think. And I stopped playing the drums for about 4 years now, but I still really like rhythmic stuff and everything. And like right now, what it looks like, we're still developing everything. But I'm probably going to play like all the leads on my tracks, and I've got my key player to play all the chords and the backing tracks, and the drummer, of course, playing all the drums live. We haven't got like a backing drum track, so he plays all the kicks and the snare live. We really made a big step technically too, because we, like me and Michael, my drummer, worked out a really good system, playing drums live and getting like sidechain techniques and stuff on music, so it sounds really full and really like a dance floor set, like a DJ set a little bit. It sounds as good as a DJ set, I would say, so far. So we got like all the technical stuff there, and I'm playing the leads, and my key player is playing the chords, and yeah, we're still just working on rehearsals and still finding out new stuff every day, and it's really interesting, and I can't really tell what Alaska is going to be yet because like we're still developing it really.
It's quite a large step, isn't it? You're almost sort of becoming a band, as it were.
Yeah.
But still putting your name out there. It's quite an interesting transformation, and obviously putting your music out there in that live format, people will obviously receive it quite well.
Right.
But it's interesting to see how you can implement the different instruments to sort of come across how you want.
Sure. Yeah.
It's pretty exciting for obviously a drum and bass fan.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I'm sure everyone in the UK is obviously a bit like salivating at the prospects of that.
Right.
That's very good. One final thing: how would you see the crossover into sort of mainstream from sort of dubstep drum bass? It's sort of really pushed into the mainstream. Obviously, Radio 1 now, Screaming Beggar, Skrillex are sort of regular characters on there.
Sure.
How do you view the mainstream sort of almost? You know, it's almost been pushed on them. They've sort of accepted it. How do you feel that it's going to affect the genre as a whole for drum and bass?
I don't really want to put on that like a big statement on that, because like I like my music being played on radio, especially in Belgium. I wouldn't make music to be played on radio at all. I wouldn't ever do that. I never had that in. That's just not who I am, making music for a certain group of people.
It's just that people are liking that at the moment, and that can only be a good thing.
Yeah, exactly. And if radio stations pick up on that, that's wicked. And as far as what it does to the genre, I don't know. I think it would like widen the crowd a little bit. That's the only thing that happens to it. And if people don't like music anymore because it gets played on radio, that's their problem. That's like, I think that's a bit narrow-minded if you think like, I don't like the track anymore because it's C-listed or B-listed or A-listed on Radio 1.
But then for the mainstream, obviously they're being brought into such a wide variety of music now.
Sure.
That can only be a good thing for artists like yourself who are getting the maximum exposure from these radio stations.
Sure. Yeah.
That would never normally, like sort of 2 or 3 years ago, would be unheard of.
No,
like,
exactly.
And that for an artist maybe gives you license to experiment a bit more.
Definitely,
because you know that you have that extended fan base there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And the thing is, like, you get in contact with a lot of nice, like, new other musicians out of drum and bass. If you get playlists and if you get like another YouTube channels and if you get like a bit like a wider crowd. And I love that. I got feedback from Martin Solveig the other day. He loved my stuff, and that's amazing to like get a house DJ. I'm a really big fan of him, but I wouldn't expect him to know my music. And because you go a bit broader and you get a crowd that's a bit bigger, it gets in contact with your music, and that's what it's all about for me. Just getting drum and bass.
So we can potentially see Netsky experimenting with some house stuff in the future.
Oh yeah, well I've got a house track on the album too.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So really broadening it out and hitting sort of all the bases with that.
Sure, I'm just doing what I like really, and I'm not following any formula or anything. I'm just doing whatever feels good for me, and I think I'll keep doing that. Whenever I stop doing that, I think it's the end for me really.
Time to quit and return.
Yeah, exactly, that's it.
Fantastic, thank you very much.
No problem.
Brilliant, I think we're done. It's fantastic.
Right.
Wonderful.